Hi guys, thank God it's Friday. Welcome to another insightful tutorial on this channel today. And in today's video, we shall be learning the drafting, cutting and stitching of 5 different designs of a petal sleeve. I'm sure you love to see all of these designs, so let's get started. The first thing we need is a basic sleeve pattern like this, and if you are yet to know how to go about the drafting of your basic sleeve pattern using Lapery's simplified and professional method, the link is already on the description box. After you have drafted your sleeve pattern, you go ahead to make several copies like this. So this first design, I do not need the entire sleeve length. Something around the upper arm level like this is just enough for a cap sleeve. And of course, for your petal sleeve, you need 2 pieces for each design because petal sleeves are asymmetric. So for the first design, we need to first determine the length where the 2 patterns will intersect. So I'll do 4.5. So on the second pattern, I also mark the same length, 4.5. Then picking a point from the back arm level to connect with this point, then goes down to the underarm. So on the other pattern now, I'll be picking it from the forearm, still connecting with this point marked, the length, then that to the underarm point like so. So fine-tuning the style line properly, this is what we have. So at this point, I can go ahead now to cut, and we are simply done with the first design, which is a cap sleeve. So easy like that. So placing one over the other, we'll go ahead to knot the center point, which will be guiding us when it comes to attachment onto the armhole. So placing on fabric, this is what we have. You watch for your grain line and add your seam allowances. Then when it comes to the sewing, you make sure you cut 2 pieces of your fabric or lining. Then for sewing, you'll be sewing this end and this other end. You turn it inside out and press. And we are done. So this is what we have after sewing and pressing. Can you see? Placing on each other like so, this way or the other way, you are just good to go. Then just hold it down temporarily this way. Then go ahead to fix onto the armhole. This is cap sleeve, so it's not going to cover the underarm. So by the time you attach, this is what you have. So easy to prepare, to draft, prepare and attach. See the underarm not covered up. So here's the first design. Moving on. Still making use of the same pattern I used for the first design, but I go ahead to reduce this further, this with the length to make it further away from the underarm point. So I'll be using about 3/4 to 1 inch thereabouts to reduce the length. So I'll cut off. And at the shoulder line, we're creating fullness for this second design. So I'll go ahead now to cut off, reduce the length this way. So having done that, this is what we'll have. The same pattern for style 1, just reducing the length. So now to introduce the fullness around the shoulder line, I'll place over each other this way so that I can do the slashing at the same time. So I'll go ahead now to draw my slash lines. The first one this way. This is the center line. Another line will be here and another line drawn this way. So I go ahead now to cut the 2 patterns together, first at the side, now at the center line, and the other side this way. So cutting it together will make the fullness even. So go ahead now to place on another paper to spread out and determining our spacing. So I use about 1 inch thereabout spacing. You measure it. So even for the other piece, I'll be doing the same spacing for evenness. So this is what we'll have. So we'll go ahead now to connect the points, and this fullness will be disposed using gathers. So I'll do the same for the other piece this way. So afterwards, this is what we'll have. The fullness has been created. I'll go ahead to mark the center point this way and even on the other pattern. So I'll notch, so that while placing, I will make sure those 2 points are aligned. So go ahead now to place on fabric, watching for a grain line as well. Placing on fabric, this is what we'll have. I need to do my proper notching the center point where the fullness will start and where the fullness is ending this way. And even on the other piece, all the notching is properly done like so. But for this particular end, I'll go ahead to tape this way where I'll be sewing, and that piece will be the uppermost part, placing over the other one. So having done the sewing and the taping, this is what we'll have. All our proper notchings done to be able to dispose the fullness properly and evenly. So this particular piece taped will be placed over this other piece. So let's go over to fix. This is what we'll have. Having attached, you can see that the underarm point is further away compared to the first design. And you could see the fullness on the shoulder line and the taping. Very easy. So moving on, for this third design, we transfer to the short sleeve length, and likewise this compared to the first one that we ended at the upper arm level. So this is going to be short sleeve. So as usual, we take a particular point from the forearm, but we need to first mark the length, the point at which both patterns will intersect. So I've been taking my measurements. So these I'm doing 5 inches now. So my marking will pass through that point down to the short sleeve length now. Then on the other piece, we'll take it now from the back arm, still maintaining the same length, 5 inches. So I draw my style line, touching that point down to the short sleeve length like so. So let's fine tune this style line properly. Then we'll go ahead to cut. So cutting now, this is what we have. And for this design, there's going to be seam at the underarm to join the 2 patterns together here. So I'm making use of 2 different fabrics, the yellow and the brown, and I've gone ahead to do my notching, the center point notch. So this end will also be sewing, likewise this end and this end. Then go ahead to join the 2 pieces together here at the underarm. There's going to be seam here. So this will cover the entire armhole. So here we are already prepared, and this is the underarm point already sewn. So by the time we put one layer over the other like so, watching out for the center point, this is what we have, and we are good to go. So this is what we have after sewing. Can you see the underarm point covered up, unlike the first 2 designs, like so. Very, very easy. So moving on to the 4th one, I'll be making use of the same pattern I used for the 3rd design, but now there is not going to be seam here. So I'll go ahead now to attach the 2 pattern pieces together. So I'll be drafting it more like a single piece. So I'll secure with my tape. The only limitation to this now is you can't do mix and match of fabric. So we cut a single piece of fabric like so. So for this 4th design, I'll modify, I'll introduce fullness around the shoulder line. So I'll place the patterns over each other this way, watching out for my center points, for evenness of the fullness that we want to introduce. So I'll go ahead now to slash to cut at the center line first. Then on this side I also slash. and on the other side of the center line I'll also slash. Then spreading it out now, I can go ahead to slash for the pattern to relax so that we can spread it easily. Then afterwards, now I'll be going ahead to spread it, placing it on another paper. So this is what we have. Having slashed and spread, you determine the fullness, and this will be disposed using pleats. So we arrange it this way, and likewise the other side arranged. So I'll be cutting this as one full piece. Remember, no seam at the underarm. So this is what we have. All the notchings properly done, and even the underarm has to be notched so that we can set it well to sew. So we'll go ahead to prepare and attach. This is what we have now. You can see the underarm covered, and there's no seam at the underarm, and there's fullness at the shoulder line. So easy. So for the fifth design, I produced and traced out up till the elbow level length. Of course, we need 2 copies like so. So to start with, we need to measure the overall length. This is long, so I'm using length 10 as the overall length. Then we'll need the point at which the 2 patterns will intersect. So I'm doing 4 inches this way. So from the back arm, I'll pick a point as usual, passing through that same point, the length, then down to the short sleeve length. So let me measure what I have at that end. So this is roughly about 2 inches. So that angle is done. Then from the underarm, I need to connect with this point as my extension. So first taking from the short sleeve length, then from the underarm, you draw your style line. Then we'll need to create the lapping allowance. About half an inch will be enough for that. So drawing the style line properly, this is what we have, and this portion of the extension has to be traced out. Here is a traced out pattern. So I go ahead now to cut out my pattern for this piece, for this side. So I'll cut off this way, and I'll be attaching the traced out pattern with this end, securing it with tape. This is what we'll be having, just as it was traced out. Can you see? So we are done with this first one. So for the second pattern, still maintaining this length of 4 here and the overall length of 10 inches. Now I'll be picking the point from the forearm, passing through that point mark down to the short sleeve length. So I'll cross check the length I have here to correspond with the other. So I draw my style line connecting with the points like so. Then from the underarm, I need to connect with the extension. So from the short sleeve length, I first draw the style line. Then from the underarm, I draw the style line. Then add the lapping allowance like so. So fine-tuning the style lines properly. This is what we have. And as usual, this piece has to be traced out. And here's the traced out pattern this way. Can you see? So I'll go ahead now to secure it with the main body, securing it with tape. Then simply go ahead now to cut. So this is the second part, the second piece of the pattern. So this is what we have, just as it was traced out, as drawn out and traced. So we are done with the 2 pieces this way. So placing over each other this way. So we secure it this way at this end. Then watching out for the underarm points. The 2 patterns has to align there as well. So securing it together. Then here's the extension. And we are simply done with this 5th design. Very easy to make. Isn't it lovely? and easy to make. So go ahead now to place on fabric, but first I need to create fullness here. So I'll also slat at the center line this way, then at this side this way as well, and the other side this way for evenness. Then we'll go ahead to spread just like we've been doing. So placing it on another paper to spread, they will arrange the fullness. This will be disposed using pleat as well. So placing on fabric, this is what we have, and we need to knot the underarm point so that while plating over the other, we set for alignment. And even the pleat, the fullness has to be arranged, and here's the extension. So to do the sewing, we'll start from the underarm all the way like so, then even on the other piece all the way like so. Then you turn inside out and do your proper pressing. So afterwards, this is what you'll have, aligning first at the underarm, then marking all the fullness created so that it can dispose evenly. So by the time you place over each other, this is just what you have. So attaching now, this is what we have. Our petal sleeve is ready and beautiful. Isn't it lovely and beautiful? And still covering the underarm points like so. I love to see you apply the knowledge you have acquired from this video, making your own beautiful designs, from the first design to the second one to the third and the fourth. I also love to see you take a good picture and send it to my WhatsApp number. I'll be sharing them on our Facebook group at Cut and Sew with Lapery. I'm sure you've learned from this video. Kindly give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to do so, and as you subscribe, also hit that notification bell so that you get notified as we upload videos every Friday. Until my next video, thank you for watching.
Lapery College of Fashion, raising professionals.